Greetings gamers! We are going to be talking about Ghost Recon Wildlands and the open beta that we have literally just finished playing. And I say we because there was a group of us that went through and played it. Now, obviously at the end and the last day there was about 4 of us all playing it in a mission, supposedly cooperative. We'll get to that in a sec. But guys, yeah, 4 of us were playing co-op and we're just going to talk about our experiences with the game, what was our thoughts and opinions, and basically sum it all up. So, what was our experience with the game? Generally, it was okay. I do have some concerns about the game, and we will get towards those towards the end of it. But let's talk about the general good stuff that was in the game. First of all, guys, the drone is pretty friggin' sweet. I absolutely love that. Very much like the drone that was in Watch Dogs. Actually, in fact, I think it's the same drone. Ubisoft, you gotta learn to change your textures. But guys, yeah, it was very much like the drone that you get in Watch Dogs. Obviously, you can go through. You could pin people, obviously track them, stuff like that. Found that very, very cool and generally really good. Also, the guns, the gameplay, everything like that. The guns I found were really good range of weapons. A lot of them were locked, obviously. But of the ones that we did actually get to play with were very, very cool. So that was pretty cool as well. And there is a wide selection of sniper rifles, assault rifles, handguns, pistols, stuff like that. Now, another thing I thought was really good was the fact that if you pick up a gun from an enemy, it didn't automatically unlock. Well, that's not what I found. Anyway, the only way you can actually expand your repertoire of guns is by actually locating the guns that were hidden and scattered out through crates. Once you unlock them, then obviously you could equip them through using your ammo box. You could change your loadout and whatnot, and that would allow you to then equip the weapon that you found and then allow you to use it. So while you could obviously pick up a gun from an enemy and start firing it, at the end of the day, once you died, that was it. You went back to your standard default loadout. And then obviously if you wanted that gun, you would then have to go and locate it, which would be somewhere on the map. Apart from that, guys, obviously we did have a bit of issue with the game crashing. Actually, we had a lot of issues with that. I played the game for about 6 to 10 hours and I had it probably crash about 4 or 5 times on me. Now, there wasn't much crashing involved on my part on tonight, but over the past couple of days I have had it crash a lot. And there were people that were still playing it tonight who were also getting crashes as well. So it's not like they went through and fixed it or anything like that. As far as I know, still a lot of crashes. And it didn't seem to be anything in particular. Obviously, you just go through and you're playing the game and it would just crash on you like that. Sometimes it was just changing the seat in your helicopter or in the car. Sometimes it was pulling out your drone. And sometimes you just couldn't really figure it out why it crashed, but it did. So that kind of sucked. Obviously, once it crashed, it was easiest, obviously, to get back in. Get back in the actual game. But then, obviously, you lost your vehicles and whatnot that you had. And that's another thing that we will talk about as well. Apart from that, obviously, the gameplay mechanics itself, apart from the crashing, I found was fine. It was okay. Now, while we got the customization on the screen, let's have a quick chat about that. So guys, obviously you got the basic male, female, hair color, facial color, tattoos, stuff like that. There's not a wide range. Like, it's not like Doom or Titanfall or anything like that where you can fully customize everything. It is pretty basic, but at the end of the day, you generally bothered to shooting the enemy. You don't generally spend a lot of time seeing yourself. So while it's a little bit disappointing they didn't have a really kick-ass customization for the character or for your appearance, there is a wide range that is there and it is acceptable. Obviously, like I say, you can do tattoos on the right arm, left arm, so there is some customization. It's just don't expect it to be Doom or Titanfall 2 because you are going to be a little bit disappointed. Now, while we are talking about customization, let's talk about the chili suit because it is a stable diet of any SAS Black Ops sort of team. Guys, the one thing that did sort of make me go, oh, okay, was the fact that it was purely cosmetic. Yes, it looks infinitely cool to wear one. However, it doesn't actually suit any purpose in the game except to look absolutely cool wearing one. I would have liked the chili suit and whatnot to have a bit of advantage, obviously considering the fact that this game doesn't have any sort of multiplayer sort of 1 versus 1 or team versus team or whatever that we know of. So at the end of the day, I would like it to say, hey, maybe put the chili suit and maybe wearing it gives you some sort of camouflage or some sort of stealth a trip, something that allows you to go through and actually have some benefit to wear it. Just because of the fact that, hey, yeah, it does look cool, but at the end of the day, you should be able to get some sort of stealth a trip or something that allows you to actually have some benefit and not just a cosmetic thing. I did find that I died very easy compared, but then, like I say, obviously Tom Clancy does go for realism, so, you know, at the end of the day, if someone shoots you with an assault rifle, you're going to die pretty quick, so I can sort of understand that. And I did find that obviously playing with the 4 real players instead of the 3 real players instead of the 3 AI did actually allow the missions to go somewhat smoother. The only asterisk I'm going to mention on this part is if you are standing behind a vehicle, move. If you are standing in front of a vehicle, move. If you're standing anywhere near a vehicle and you have Ghost on your team or Travis or any of my mates, move out of the way because they do hurt. As a few of us found out today, yes, driving over your teammates does in fact kill them. Like I say, he goes for realism. So at the end of the day, guys, obviously depending on who's on your team as to whether you survive the mission or not, really does depend on if your mates want to revive you and if they tend to drive over you and or steal your helicopter. Not mentioning names. Travis! But when you work together as a team, it was pretty sweet. Driving the cars around was fairly fine. I didn't have any real major issues with that. Played a lot like Grand Theft Auto, so that was pretty cool. And never really had any major issues with the vehicles. I did find they were a bit bullet spongy. But then at the end of the day, I've never really shot a real car with an assault rifle, so I'm not quite sure how many shots it takes before the thing starts catching on fire. As for the helicopter and the planes, as my friend Decimator will testify, I am completely shit at flying a plane or a helicopter. In fact, if you have a choice of jumping out of the airplane or the helicopter and letting me drive one, you're better off taking the parachute and jumping. In fact, you're probably better off jumping even if you don't have the parachute. Apart from that, guys, obviously I found the helicopter. I was starting to get the hang of it towards the end until someone kept trying to steal it because he was on my team. Won't mention names, Trojan. But at the end of the day, guys, obviously once I got the hang of it, I found it was a lot easier. But I did find that these helicopters and that did go down fairly quickly when it came to bullet fire. The thing was that when you were firing at the helicopter, like the enemy helicopters, you could sit there and pretty much go through a whole clip and a half, and the thing would still try and shoot you. So there did seem to be a little bit of a case of, what? Like, you know, you're going to take 5 rounds to drop me, but I'm going to go through 50 rounds and you're still going to fly off. So that was a little bit weird. Apart from that, planes were a lot easier to drive than the helicopter. But then that said, I still managed to park one on the side of a mountain and in a tree a few times. Decimator will testify to that as well. But like I say, yeah, guys, obviously the plane was a lot easier to drive. But then the real life helicopters are difficult to fly. So maybe they were going for realism when it came to the helicopter as well. Not quite sure, but I did find it was pretty tricky to fly. Apart from that, guys, obviously the loot boxes and everything like that, the missions and all that were great. There was a little bit of a variety with the missions, and considering it was an open beta, So there was obviously that. That was pretty cool. I did find the missions and whatnot were starting to get a little bit repetitive towards day 2. And this is where I have a little bit of a concern. Ubisoft's games do generally don't hold my attention very well. Destiny I can keep playing. I've been playing it for 3 years. I'll always go back and it's always Destiny. However, Ubisoft with Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed and Ghost Recon now, I do find that the games are very, very repetitive. While they are great to play, there isn't a wide range of things to capture your audience. And at the end of the day, they do seem to fall short on variety. Now, obviously, there's a wide range of vehicles and everything that you can cut and that you can fly around and play and drive. Great. But at the end of the day, the missions always came down to the same 3 to 5 things. Obviously, go and take this vehicle, go and capture this person, go and kill this person, or bit of both. And that's where I have a bit of an issue with this game. Look, I'm not saying I won't buy it on the 7th of March when it comes out. However, whether or not I'm going to be buying it and holding on to it for over the week, well, that's another question, and I do have some concerns. Obviously, the game being buggy, obviously, is also a bit of a downfall. But look, at the end of the day, obviously, it was an open beta, so who knows? Maybe the full game will be very, very different. However, I do think it's going to be another Division, and in that case, it is going to be a case of something I'll play for a week or 2 weeks, and then probably throw it in my cupboard and not look at it ever since, which is what happened with the Division. Now, obviously, when the Division came out, I thought it was just the fact that I played the open beta, the closed beta, the beta, the alpha, and I played it so many times I was over it. But I'm starting to think that it might actually be more of a Ubisoft thing than the actual game title itself. Apart from that, a few of my friends also did agree with me and say that, yeah, they did find the game was a little bit repetitive. And at the end of the day, they also were worrying about the same thing. Apart from that, obviously, the open world aspect is huge. The game is so freaking large. There is a lot of stuff for you to do. And that's also where we get a bit of an issue as well. Because at the end of the day, you are finding that while there is a lot of cars getting around, it's just cooler to take the helicopters and the planes. More the helicopters, because I can't fly a plane. But yeah, it's more the helicopters were really, really cool. And I found myself saying, oh, I just want my helicopter. And then walking 3 meters or 300 meters or 3Ks, whatever it may be, getting a helicopter and then flying over to the next mission. And that's one thing that I do worry about, is the fact that people are going to be grabbing the helicopters, flying off with them, and then you're going to be stuck walking. Yes, there are cars in the game, but I will admit that the cars do have a bit of an issue because of obviously the bad guys getting around. They are obviously very, very gun happy, trigger happy, and just driving around in a normal car does get you shot at by this other team or this other faction, and basically allows you to have a very bad day. Now, obviously, talking about this other faction. So most of the guys that you fight in the game are just cannon fodder. And don't get me wrong, they're quite formidable. But there is a group of special army-like types that call themselves Unidad. Now, these are distinguishable on the map because they come up as purple. And these are the guys that basically hurt. They really hurt. Guys, Unidad is obviously the army version of the elites, while the people that we generally fighting in normal are just the normal grunts. Now, obviously, Unidad are the ones that are very, very powerful. They have attack helicopters, and they are not afraid to use them. And they also go out on patrols too, which is where you get into the problems with driving around. Because as you're driving around, you can actually pass a group of these Unidad soldiers, and then they will start to chase after you and kill you. So it does make the game a little bit more interesting. Now, obviously, I'm not complaining about Unidad. They are very formidable. But that's where also you get into the fact that the helicopters and whatnot are very much the fact like bullet sponges. Trying to take out a Unidad helicopter is pretty impossible unless you have a grenade launcher, which we found out earlier tonight. They work a trick. So guys, obviously at the end of the day, there is different wide range of forces and fractions and everything that you can fight. The general game itself is good. I just worry about the longevity of its playable characters, or if it's of its... And obviously, look, we didn't get to play the storyline, so who knows? There could be a very good storyline, I'm not quite sure, but I am worried about the playability and the longevity of the game. Apart from that, guys, look, this is basically where I'm going to wrap it up. Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Did you play Ghost Wildlands and the open beta? And what was your opinions of it? Do you think I have a lot of good points, or do you disagree? Hit me up in the comment section below. We'll have a chat about it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. And apart from that, gamers, I'll see you playing games. Have a great day and enjoy.